Hey there, it's Donna. Welcome. I am so happy to have you joining me today. I will be sharing some beautiful fall trash to treasure thrift flips. I'm so happy with how they turned out. I am excited to share them with you. Let's get crafting. I found this absolutely gorgeous fabric at the thrift store for 50 cents, along with this amazing wood frame for $3. And you can see it is a substantial frame. I wanted to remove that inner portion there. It was like a mat, and I didn't like the way it looked. I thought it took away from the rustic look of the frame. So I'm just going to be pulling out the staples that they had there so I can remove it. I just used my needle nose pliers and just kind of wiggled things around until it came loose. Decided that I would set that aside and hopefully be able to use that for a later project. But you can see how much better that looks. I did use this inner portion as my template to create an insert for my frame. This is some foam board that I picked up from Dollar Tree. You can get that anywhere. I've seen it at Walmart and other dollar stores as well. So now I just traced around it, and then I'm using my craft knife to cut it out. Please be careful that you don't cut your surface like I did. Definitely use a nice flat sturdy board to cut this out. You can see how well that fits now. Next, I just needed to dust this frame a bit, so I have a rag and I just misted it with some water, and I'm just gently removing any of the dust that remained on the frame. You can see how gross that was. So I needed to iron the fabric as well. I've just got my Cricut craft mat, my spray bottle, and an iron, and I'm just going to remove those wrinkles, and it came out very, very easily. I do believe this fabric is made of cotton. So I'm not going to make this project permanent. All I want to do is figure out the placement of my fabric on this foam board, and I'm just going to gently tack it down with a little bit of some double-sided tape. This is not the strongest tape, so I felt safe enough to use that for this fabric. I'm wrapping the foam board with the fabric, and I'm going to be using some washi tape just to tack it down into place. Again, washi tape is low tack, so I wasn't concerned about it coming apart. But if you do want to make this a permanent thing, then I would probably be using some spray glue on the foam board and then placing my fabric into place. So I'm just going to continue to wrap my foam board with the tape, and then I am going to just flip it around just to make sure it looks good, and it does. And I'm going to just continue on as needed. If this is your first time here, I would love for you to join our crafty community by tapping on the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the crafty fun and unique crafting ideas I have to share. Okay, so once you have the fabric in place, you can press that down into your frame, and then you can just continue to tack it down where you need any of the tape if your fabric is lifting anyway. I did not hot glue this into place. Like I said, I want to be able to reuse this frame for a later project, or perhaps use the fabric again for a later project. But this is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I found this really fun ramekin at the thrift store for $2.49. Absolutely love the pattern on it. Knew it would be perfect for a fall DIY project. I got this candle from Dollar Tree. It is a vanilla scented candle. I'm just going to be removing the packaging for it because I needed to melt it down. I'm going to remove the label on the bottom and then pull out the wick from the candle. We are going to be reusing that wick. So I've got a pot with some water in it already. I've got a can here, and I squeezed the one end of the can so I had a pouring spout. And you can see I don't have a whole lot of water in there, just enough so it will start to melt. It took about a half an hour to melt this candle down, and I have to say it smelled amazing while that was happening. Once melted, I am just going to wipe the tin down with a cloth. I didn't want any water in with my wax. Now at this point, mind, I should have wrapped my wick around a bamboo skewer, but I got so excited to get on this, I just decided to just go ahead and pour this. You can see I am doing this on a craft mat as well. And then I'm like, why is this wick not sitting up straight? I'm like, oh shoot, right. I needed a bamboo skewer. So I took 2 of the bamboo skewers and I pushed them together, and the wick stuck to those 2 bamboo skewers. The candle didn't take a whole lot of time to set up because I think the ramekin was cool when I poured it. I thought this would be perfect for a little candle holder. I trimmed it off, and this project could not be any easier. I think a fall scented candle would be beautiful in here as well. I love this. Let me know what you think. I've been finding a lot of really beautiful and unique wood frames at the thrift store. This one was $2.99. I love the way it looked. I've got this scrapbook paper here, and I'm just trying to figure out the pattern I want to use in the frame. I'm using the glass as my template, so I get the exact size I need to fit within my frame. Just using a ruler just to butt the glass right up to the edge so I don't have to waste any of that paper. I traced around the glass, and I'm just going to use my scissors to cut this out. I am going to be reusing the glass and the insert of this frame, but I put my paper face down first, and then I put my other things in place and put all the tabs back, and you can see how beautiful that looks. I have these Dollar Tree fall stickers that I picked up, I think it was last year, maybe it was the year before. And I love these because they're dimensional, and they got some different colored pumpkins. I'm just trimming them around before I put them into place because I like to figure out my placement first. I decided to use these green ones on here. I kind of wish I would have maybe gone with the orange ones because then they would have stood out a little bit more. But we're just going to stick with what I've got going on here. All right, so I am now going to remove the sticker paper, like the backing paper. I'm going to gently put them in place before I fully commit, and then I will be pressing them into place. Aren't these pretty? I think Dollar Tree has got some absolutely gorgeous stickers. Let me know the stickers that you found there lately. I have not been to Dollar Tree lately, and I'm kind of missing out. So anyway, so once you're happy with the sticker placement, then you can definitely push it down and smooth it out. I love that, but I felt like it was still missing a little bit, so I had this scrapbook paper that had tags all over it, and I happened to find one that said grateful on it. So I'm just going to trim that down to size so it will fit on my frame a little bit better. I'm going to edge the edges of the paper with some vintage photo distress oxide ink. I'm using a makeup sponge. This is optional. I just like the way that looks. It just helps the word to stand out just a little bit more. And then I'm going to be using some dimensional foam tape here. I happen to have some that's the width that I need for my word. So I'm just going to put that into place, trim it down, and it happens to be the same height as the pumpkin stickers, which I thought was really cool. So I'm just going to remove the backing and then press that into place. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, I would be truly grateful if you would give me a thumbs up because it really does help my channel out. Thanks in advance. So I have to say this project was so easy, but I absolutely love how it turned out. Let me know what you think. So I didn't pick this one up from the thrift store. I had it since we were married, but it's got a crack in it and a chip in it. I've also seen jugs like this at the thrift stores tons of time. I'm giving it 3 coats of heirloom white Rust-Oleum matte spray. Actually, it said it was satin, but it does turn a little bit more matte than satin. I'm cleaning it with some rubbing alcohol because there was a bit of dirt on the exterior, and that'll just help the spray paint to adhere better. I also cleaned out the inside. There was a lot of debris in there as well. While that was drying outside after I spray painted it, I am going to be using this absolutely gorgeous mushroom napkin that I picked up from a store called Ninny's Napkins. It's an online craft store. I don't know if they still have this particular napkin or not, but I love it. I removed the backing with some tape. And now for a little trick here. I know you've probably all seen this before, but you want to use a thin paintbrush and some water, and then you want to trace around your image with that paintbrush, and that will create a nice line for you to tear out your image. This is something I never used to do, and I can't remember who I learned this from, but I see lots of YouTubers doing it now, crafty YouTubers, and it makes it so much easier to get this out. It beats using scissors, because what ends up happening is that the edges just kind of blend in with the background once you decoupage it into place. So you can see how easy it is to tear it away as well. Works out great. So you can tear out 2 of these patterns if you like. I'm just going to be using 1 for my project here. You can see how nicely it covered the pot here, but I accidentally got a little too close and I have some drip marks, and the chip and the crack still show. So I decided to use this beautiful tissue paper that I had in my stash. It's got so much texture to it, and I thought it would create a really interesting texture on the jug. So I'm using a soft bristle brush and some matte decoupage glue. You can use Mod Podge if you'd like. I'm just using the, I think it's the Craft Mind brand. I can't remember. Craft Smart brand. I can't remember what it was called. Anyways, I put a coat of the decoupage glue on the jug, and now I'm going to put my tissue into place and add a layer of the glue over top. It's super important that you use a soft brush because this tissue is quite delicate. It has a lot of different natural fibers in it. So I thought it was perfect for kind of like a nature inspired jug look. In the end, actually, what ended up happening is it created a bit more of a ceramic look. So like a pottery look, which I thought was interesting. And of course, I love the look of pottery. So I'm just going to continue to apply the tissue until I've got the jug fully covered. I did take some stops once in a while. I would let the tissue dry before I moved on to, say, the bottom or the handle. And that just prevented me from like making a mess of the work that I've already achieved. I just continued to work on it. I needed to do the handles still. So I just used some little pieces here and tore them down to a more easily workable size and continued to work on the jug until I got a look, again, I was happy with. Okay, so my jug is all nice and dry. You can see the absolutely gorgeous texture that it has. So I'm just going to stabilize my jug here. I used a paint roll and a tin can, and now I'm going to apply the mushroom napkin piece that I have here. So I'm just figuring out my placement first. And I only wanted to use this on one side because I wanted the option of being able to use this jug any time of year. So I left the other side blank. Once you have the placement figured out, put a little bit of decoupage glue down, and then I'm just going to slowly work my way. I was being careful. I didn't want to get too many creases in this. And since there was a bit of like a curve to the jug, I knew I could chance getting wrinkles. So I was just being very careful, slowly working on it until I had it fully covered. But isn't this cute? While I was letting that dry, I grabbed some florals here and some leaves. I got some from Michael's, and I had some stuff left over my stash, forage branches, and some grasses that I picked out in my garden. I love to mix natural elements in with some faux greens and leaves. I just feel like it just really enhances a faux bouquet. So what I'm going to do is just trim my wires down, And then I'm not going to cut these down. I'm just going to weave them in together. This is something I always do. And that way here, I can use these all at a later date. So now you can see I'm just layering in some branches and some grasses. So funny thing, while I was working on this, my power went out. So if the lighting seems a little bit funny than usual, that's because I was using my battery packs to run my light so I could get this project done for you. Unfortunately, there was a power line went down somewhere. And I thought that maybe it was due to the forest fire that's in around my area. I was kind of freaking out, admittedly, but thankfully it wasn't that. I was able to get this done for you, thankfully. Okay, so once you've got a bouquet that you like, you can trim things down. The wires, I just bent them up. Again, like I said, I want to be able to reuse these later on, so I didn't want to cut them down too much. I'm also trimming down the branches and more grasses. Pull things, move things around. A lot of these are wire, so once you have a really beautiful bouquet, put it in your jug and then it's ready for display. I can't tell you how much I love this project. I am so happy with how it turned out. Let me know what you think down below. If you are loving these fall DIYs, you'll definitely want to check this video out right here. It is packed full of inspiration for you to check out. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.